Hi folks, Sty here. I guess it's time for a Sty story. I haven't done a Sty story in a long time. I should get back to doing some. uh, and I didn't plan on doing any Sty stories today, so I didn't even have a clue as to what I would do a Sty story about. If you hear an airplane going over, it's the DNR. Wisconsin DNR has been flying over. Um, I don't know what they're looking for, but if they're looking for me, they found me. I'm real obvious here. Uh, but I just, I went, I did a couple of videos earlier, and I went wandering around and came back to this spot, and now the sun has moved. I'm getting some sunlight in my spot, so I might move my camp chair a little back into the shade, but for now, I'll just do a Sty story. Oh yeah, that airplane's coming by pretty close. So hopefully that airplane doesn't mess up the audio. But I got back and I had a snack. I was eating my snack, some freeze-dried strawberries, banana slices, and peach slices. I love the freeze-dried. They're delicious. I like them a lot better than the dehydrated, but freeze-dried, yeah, they're the best. But I dehydrate a lot of my own stuff, so it doesn't matter as long as it tastes good, right? So I got to thinking about that. I was thinking, oh boy, I really like these freeze-dried um, fruit slices a lot better than the dehydrated. Started thinking about, well, but then again, I just like food. I was raised on the premise that if somebody offers you food, you never refuse. Um, you at least try it. If you didn't like it, you don't insult the food or the person that prepared it. You can say, well, it was all right, but it's not going to be something that I go out of my way for. You know, you be polite about telling the person that their food wasn't any good. But I was also raised that you eat what's put in front of you because you don't know, but someday it might be you might be in a real tough spot and you're not going to get to be picky. So learn to get enjoyment out of all of your food. So I can say that I'm a person that, boy, I don't turn my nose up to food very often. It's I'll eat anything. But this goes to the Sty story. I can't eat that. um, I'm going to give 3 examples of things that Sty has had put in front of him. One of them I wouldn't even try. I said, no, I ain't putting that in my mouth. The other 2 I at least tasted, tried to eat, but couldn't, and said, no, that's not happening. So I'm going to go with the first 2 are going to be the ones I tried. My ex-spouse, I would say she was a average to above average cook. I ate anything she made. She made a lot of good dishes, but she also liked to experiment. And so she'd say, oh, I got this neat recipe a friend of mine gave me. We're going to try it out. And I'd say, well, okay. And 9 out of 10 times they were pretty good. Well, we had a homestead for a while, and neighbors of ours were had a fairly large-scale family farm, and the gal had told my wife that she had some great recipes she should try, and my wife said, "Sure, I'll try anything," and she'd try anything. Um, well, the first one was cow heart, right? Now, I've had cow heart when I was a kid, and it was smoked. It was put in a smoker, and it was smoked, and it was sliced super thin, and you ate it almost like sausage. And that was pretty good, actually. When I was a kid, I actually enjoyed that. My grandfather would make it. Well, the way this gal told my wife to prepare that heart, when we went to eat that thing, that was so tough, I couldn't chew it. I got the teeth to do it, but I couldn't. I stuck one piece in my mouth, and I must have chewed for 5 minutes. Finally, I couldn't handle it anymore. I spit it out, and I said, "Look at that thing, that piece." And she looked at it, she goes, "What about it?" And I said, "It doesn't look any different than it did the first time I stuck it in my mouth, and I've had it in my mouth for 5 minutes. I've been chewing it. I can't get it." I said, "I can't eat that." I said, "Plus it doesn't taste good either." I said, however you fixed it, it cooked all the flavor right out of it. It's just like eating a piece of inner tube. You can't eat it. It's rubber." It was unedible. I could not eat it. I told her, "Don't you ever, ever, ever make cow heart again, ever." Now, if I shoot a deer, I'll take a deer heart, and I've smoked them. I love them smoked. I've cut them up into chunks and stewed them for hours, and they get tender where they're chewable and edible, and they do have good flavor. To me, wild venison, every part of the deer tastes good. So, but that cow heart, couldn't eat it. No, I can't eat that. Well, then the second thing she made, and this one put me over the edge, was lemon. What did it? What I can't remember what totally she called it. It was lemon something cow tongue. Well, that was just as bad as the heart. It was just as tough, and she cooked that thing forever. I mean, it was slow cooked, but it still turned out tough. You couldn't chew it. And it had this lemon sauce on it that was, and the flavor of it, between the flavor, the texture, and the absolute inability to chew it, it was terrible. It was nasty. And again, I thought, when she said she was going to try this, I thought, I'm willing to try that. Was because, again, when I was a kid, my grandfather, same guy that smoked the cow hearts, would smoke cow tongues. And he would skin the tongue and then smoke it, and you slice it into thin slices, and again, it was like smoked sausage. And it was chewy, not quite as chewy as like jerky. It was a lot more tender than jerky, and it had a wonderful salty, smoky flavor. Oh, this cow tongue didn't taste nothing like that. It was terrible. I can't eat that. So she was upset with me because those were 2 meals she had made that, no, one bite, and that sealed the fate of, I don't offer me cow tongue unless it's been smoked, and don't offer me cow heart unless it's been slow smoked. I won't even try it. I can't eat that. Okay, the third thing. Okay, this is the part of the story that some people probably just shake their heads at. Um, I had never heard of this. Well, now I find out that it is rather common. Why? I don't know. I don't know why it would be common for anybody. But we had these friends out in northwestern Montana that were camping with us for a couple of months. And they had this big old camper. And they had gone to town one day, and when they came back, they said, "Oh, have we got a treat?" And we said, "What kind of treat?" And they said it's a surprise. They said, "Come over for supper tonight, for dinner." And mind you, we had 4 kids at the time. The oldest one at the time was probably about 8, maybe 9 years old. And we thought, well, that's great. We don't have to fix supper tonight for ourselves. We're going over to their camper for supper. Well, when we got there for supper, they said we're having spaghetti. And we thought, well, that's great. We hadn't had spaghetti in gosh knows how long. And they had this great big stock pot on the stove. And you could smell the spaghetti sauce. And we're just, oh, we're thrilled. We're having spaghetti. And they cooked up a bunch of spaghetti noodles. And they even had garlic bread. And I was all excited. And they said, well, guests first. So they told me and my ex-wife, you guys dish up first. So we went over. I was first in line. I put a big pile of spaghetti on my plate. And I went over to that pot, and I took that big ladle, and I scooped around in that pot and lifted it up. I dropped the ladle, and spaghetti sauce flew all over the place, and I kind of made a mess. And I go, what in the world is that? And they said, it's spaghetti. I said, what's in there? And they go, chicken. I stuck that ladle back in the pot, and I lifted it up, and I looked at my wife, and I go, and what part of the chicken is that? She goes, that's a chicken foot. I said, yeah, and I'm not eating that. I can't eat that. She goes, I'm not eating that either. I felt bad for the couple because they said, oh, no, you're going to love it. It's great. That pot was cram-packed full of chicken feet. All the yellow scales and the toenails, everything, the whole chicken foot was in that pot. Not just one. I mean, there was a few dozen chicken feet in this great big stock pot. We sat there. They said, well, if you don't like chicken feet, well, then you can just put the tomato sauce on your spaghetti. I said, I can't do it. I can't eat that. It's had chicken feet soaking in it. I had no way I can eat that. So I sat there and I ate garlic bread, and so did the spouse. Our kids were brave enough, God bless their souls, they were brave enough to eat just the sauce over the noodles, but they wouldn't, none of them would try a chicken foot. But we watched that couple sit there and pick them scales off of them chicken feet, and there's just like 2 little thin strips of meat inside the leg of each chicken foot. And they'd peel those 2 little pieces of meat off and eat them. And they said, well, the thing is chicken feet add so much flavor to your spaghetti sauce. I said, you know, I raised chickens for a while. And I said, you know where those feet are every minute of the day? They're standing in chicken crap, chicken droppings. That's the only place them chicken feet ever are, is in nasty stuff. I said, and they said, well, we wash them before we put them in the pot. I said, well, I should hope so. But I said, I said, That'd be like having toenail soup. There's no way in the world I can eat that. Chicken feet. I have never heard of such a thing. I hadn't heard of such a thing until then. And I didn't have an appetite for a good 24 hours after seeing that. Well, then I found out years later that there's a lot of people that actually do use chicken feet to make chicken stock, to make chicken soup out of them. They will put them in their spaghetti sauce for the flavoring and the little bit of meat that's on them. Why? I don't... You know, they say don't waste any part of the animal. I wouldn't have wasted those chicken feet by putting them in that spaghetti sauce, because I'd end up throwing the spaghetti sauce and the chicken feet out. That'd be a waste. I'd make the spaghetti sauce and throw some ground venison in there and eat it, and take the chicken feet and feed them to my dogs, because my dogs need to eat too, and then they wouldn't be wasted. I've had people tell me, well, if you feed it to the dogs, that's a waste. Well, no, it's not. The dog's got to eat too. And he's willing to eat a chicken foot. I'm not. I can't eat that. Sty'll eat anything except for chicken feet, lemon cow tongue, and boiled and broiled cow heart. Ain't happening. I can't eat that. One thing I think I could eat is anything that Cheesehead Chris here in northern Wisconsin makes in his canteen cup. Everything he's made so far, and some of them were pretty unusual. I could eat every one of them, though. I watch his videos, I just get hungry. But I've never seen him stuffing no chicken feet in his canteen cup either, and I hope I never do. So there you are, folks. If you want to invite Sty to dinner and you don't want him to ever come back, serve him chicken foot spaghetti. That'll be the last time you ever have to feed Sty. So there you go. There's a Sty story on what Sty just can't eat. Thanks for watching, folks. There's a Sty story. It's a goofy one. And it's kind of a camp story, because that chicken foot spaghetti sauce, those folks made that on a Coleman gas stove just inside their camper way the heck up in the mountains in northwestern Montana. So that was a camp meal that Sty just could not eat. I've had people say, well, in a survival situation, you sure wouldn't turn it down. Well, in a survival situation, I would have taken the feet out of that sauce, given them to those two that could eat them, and then I would eat the sauce on the noodles. I would cave in for survival purposes and eat chicken foot flavored spaghetti sauce. But I wouldn't eat that foot. I'd give that to someone else that needs it, because I don't need it. And I can't eat that. So there you go. Thanks, folks. As always, love having you tag along. Love all your channels out there. This is Sty North saying, you all have a nice day. Bye-bye.